The Earth delegation stood still and quiet as laughter filled the big hall. They had just shown their new ship Phoenix to leaders from many space civilizations. Poor targeting systems, old engine technology, and is that metal plating, said the Krell ambassador with a mocking voice. Humans are truly funny creatures. Captain Sunwoo kept calm despite feeling embarrassed. She was an experienced soldier chosen to fly the Phoenix. Her helper, Lieutenant Juwoo, leaned close and whispered, "They don't know what our ship can really do, right?" "That's exactly what we want," Sunwoo said softly. The hall was grand, with high ceilings and strange alien architecture that made the humans feel small. Beings of all shapes and colors sat in raised seats, looking down at the Earth teen with eyes, tentacles, or sensing organs that showed only scorn. Captain Sunwoo had trained for 15 years for this moment. She stood straight in her crisp blue uniform while alien diplomats laughed at her ship's design. The Phoenix sat behind a viewing screen, small compared to the massive warships of other races, with a dark hull that seemed plain and unimpressive. The Krell ambassador was the loudest critic. His scaled skin shimmered with green and gold as he gestured with six-fingered hands. The engine ports are exposed. The weapon mounts are visible to any basic scan. Did they build this vessel from a child's drawing? More laughter followed. The Earth ambassador, a short woman named Director Minji, tried to speak, but was interrupted repeatedly. "We believe our contribution to the Alliance would be..." "Contribution?" The Krell ambassador cut in. "What could you possibly contribute with such technology?" Sunwoo felt her cheeks burn, but kept her face neutral. She knew what the Phoenix could do. She had helped test its secret systems in the dark space beyond Neptune. The strange, shifting metal of its quantum lattice hull, the way it could absorb energy like a sponge, the power it could unleash when needed. But that was all classified. Even most of Earth's leaders didn't know. Lieutenant Juwoo stood beside her, jaw tight with anger. He was younger than Sunwoo, with less practice at hiding his feelings. "They think we're jokes," he whispered. "Let them think that," she replied. The Krell ambassador raised his arms for quiet. His translator device hung at his throat, converting his clicks and hisses to human language. "The Galactic Alliance has standards. Earth has only achieved faster than light travel in the last 50 years. Your colonies barely extend beyond your home system. Your understanding of quantum physics is elementary at best." He looked directly at the Earth delegation. "Your petition to join the Alliance is officially denied. Perhaps in another century, when you barely spacefaring primates evolve past your crude technology." Director Minji bowed politely, though Sunwoo could see the tension in her shoulders. "We understand. Earth will continue to develop and hope for reconsideration in the future." As they left the chamber, Sunwoo heard snickering from several alien delegations. The Phoenix project had cost Earth trillions of credits and taken 20 years to develop. All that work just to be laughed at. But that had been the plan all along. Later that evening, the Earth delegation prepared their ship to return home. They had been given basic quarters in the space station orbiting the Alliance capital world. The rooms were too large, the air too thin for human comfort. Admiral Doyun called for a private meeting in his secure room. He was the oldest member of the delegation, with gray hair and a face marked by years of difficult decisions. "New intelligence reports," he said, showing them a datapad. "Krell fleet movements near our outer colonies." Sunwoo leaned forward to study the screen. Red dots showed Krell warships moving toward Artemis, Demeter, and Hermes, Earth's most distant settlements. "This doesn't look like normal patrol patterns," she said. "It's not," confirmed the admiral. "They're gathering ships from 3 sectors." Lieutenant Juwoo frowned. "That's an invasion force." Admiral Doyun nodded. "I brought this information to the Alliance representatives an hour ago. They dismissed it completely, called it human paranoia. They think we're seeing threats where none exist," Director Minji said with a sigh. "Because we're the new species, the inexperienced ones." Sunwoo felt cold fear in her stomach. 3 colonies, millions of human lives. What are our orders, sir? The admiral looked tired. For now, we go home as planned. Show no concern. Act like the simple, primitive humans they think we are. And the Phoenix? Sunwoo asked. The Phoenix returns with us, he said. If the Krell are planning what I think they are, we'll need your ship, Captain. And the Alliance will learn exactly what human crude technology can do. As they left the meeting, Jiwoo walked beside Sunwoo. If they attack our colonies, even the Phoenix might not be enough. Sunwoo thought about her ship's hidden capabilities, the power it could unleash when its systems were fully activated. The Krell had no idea what they might be starting. They mocked us today, she said quietly. Let's hope they don't give us reason to show them how wrong they were. The first distress call came from Artemis, Earth's farthest colony. The message was broken and filled with static. Krell ships, hundreds, weapons we've cannot hold. Then silence. 2 days later, Demeter went dark. Their final transmission showed civilian transports being shot down as they tried to escape. Herms lasted barely 12 more hours before their communications also stopped. 3 colonies, 15 million people, gone in a single week. At Earth Command Headquarters, the military council sat around a large round table. The room was cold and bright with white lights that made everyone look pale and tired. General Minji stood at the front of the room. She pointed to the large screen showing the last images from the colonies. Ships burning, cities in ruins, people running. The distress signals confirmed Krell invasion fleets, she said, her voice heavy. Their numbers are overwhelming. Our colonial defense forces didn't stand a chance. Commander Shunho raised his hand. And the Alliance? Surely they must respond to such a clear act of war. Admiral Doyun, who had just returned from the Galactic Conference, shook his head. They're calling it a border dispute outside their jurisdiction. Border dispute. Defense Minister Sungho slammed his fist on the table. 15 million civilians. How can they ignore this? They claim our colonies were too close to Krell space. Admiral Doyun explained. They say we should have known better. The room fell silent. Everyone understood what this meant. Earth stood alone against the most powerful empire in the sector. They could surrender their outer colonies and hope the Krell would stop there, or they could fight what seemed like a hopeless war. Captain Sunwoo, who had been quietly listening from the side of the room, stepped forward. I volunteer the Phoenix for reconnaissance. Sir. Denied. Admiral Doyun replied without hesitation. We need every ship for defense, especially the Phoenix. With respect, sir, Sunwoo continued, standing straight and looking directly at the Admiral. The Phoenix is the only vessel that might get close enough to gather intelligence without being detected. We need to know what we're facing. General Minji studied the captain carefully. The Phoenix was built to be our secret weapon, not a spy ship. Its shadow drive is the most advanced stealth system we have, Captain Sunwoo argued. And we need information more than anything right now. How many ships? What types? Are they planning to attack Earth itself? Too risky, said Commander Chono. If the Krell capture the Phoenix and learn its true capabilities, we lose our only advantage. The debate lasted hours. Voices were raised. Maps and battle plans were spread across the table. Finally, Admiral Doyun raised his hand for silence. Captain Sunwoo is right, he said. We're fighting blind. The Phoenix will go. The next morning, Captain Sunwoo met with her chosen crew in the secure hangar where the Phoenix waited. The ship looked different now. Its outer hull changed to a dull black that seemed to swallow light. Lieutenant Jiwoo was already there, checking supply manifests. Engineer Kumki was running final system diagnostics. Science Officer Taeyen and Communications Specialist Yoonji arrived together, carrying extra equipment. Thank you all for coming, Sunwoo said, looking at each of them. I want to be clear about something. This mission hasn't been fully explained to the Council. The crew looked at her with surprise. What do you mean, Captain? asked Yunji. I don't just intend to observe, Sunwoo said quietly. If possible, I want to test the Phoenix's full capabilities against the Krell. We need to know if this ship can do what it was designed to do. Hyunki, the engineer, nodded slowly. The quantum lattice hull has never been tested in actual combat, only simulations. Exactly, said Sunwoo. And now millions of our people are dead or captured. I'm not going out there just to look and run away. That's not what the Admiral approved, Lieutenant Juwu pointed out. No, it's not, Sunwoo admitted. That's why I'm telling you now. This might be a one-way trip. If anyone wants to stay behind, I understand. The crew looked at each other. No one moved. We know the risks, said Taeyeon, the science officer. We've all lost friends or family on those colonies. The Krell think we're weak, added Engineer Hyunki. They need to learn they're wrong. Yoonji nodded. If the Phoenix can do what it's supposed to do, maybe we can save whoever is left out there. Lieutenant Juwu simply smiled. We're with you, Captain. All the way. Captain Sunwoo felt pride swell in her chest. Then let's prepare to launch. We leave in 3 hours. As the crew dispersed to their duties, Admiral Do-yeon approached from the shadows of the hangar. Sunwoo hadn't realized he was there. You're planning something beyond reconnaissance, he said. It wasn't a question. Sunwoo met his gaze. Sir, with respect. Don't. The Admiral raised his hand. I don't want to know. Just remember that ship cost us 20 years and resources we can't replace. It might be our last hope if the Krell come for Earth. I understand, sir. The Admiral's face softened slightly. Sunwoo, I knew your father. He would be proud of you today. He handed her a small data chip. These are the command codes to activate all of the Phoenix's systems, even the ones you don't know about yet. Sunwoo took the chip, surprised. There's more to the ship than I was told. Much more, said the Admiral. Use it wisely. And come back if you can. Later, as the Phoenix prepared for launch, Captain Sunwoo looked at her crew at their stations. They were ready. The ship hummed with power, systems coming online one by one. Communications check, said Yoonji. Engineering ready, confirmed Hyunki. Navigation plotted, reported Juwu. Science stations operational, said Taeyeon. Captain Sunwoo sat in the command chair and looked at the main screen, which showed Earth growing smaller as they moved toward the jump point. Begin shadow drive sequence, she ordered. Let's go see what the Krell have done to our people. The Phoenix vanished from normal space, leaving only stars where it had been. The Phoenix slipped through space like a ghost. Its new shadow drive bent light around the ship, making it nearly impossible to see. Captain Sunwoo stood on the bridge, watching the main screen as they approached Artemis. Status report, she said quietly. We're running silent, Lieutenant Juwu replied from the navigation station. No sign of detection yet. Entering Artemis orbit in 3 minutes, Engineer Hyunki added. The crew had been quiet during the journey. They all knew people on Artemis. Friends, family, colleagues. As the planet grew larger on their screen, they held their breath. Oh no, Yoonji whispered as the first images came through. The beautiful colony world was burning. Where there had been shining cities and green farmland, now there was only smoke and ruin. Massive Krell ships hovered over the landscape like giant insects, sending down machines that tore into the ground. They're harvesting everything, Science Officer Taeyeon said, checking her sensors. Minerals, metals, even organic material. Any signs of survivors? Captain Sunwoo asked, her voice tight. Taeyeon shook her head. Some life signs in the northern mountains, probably people hiding. But the cities, she stopped, unable to finish. Yoonji worked at her communications station, face pale. I'm picking up Krell transmissions. They're calling this a successful cleansing operation. The bridge fell silent. Millions of people had lived on Artemis. Families, children, all gone. Captain Sunwoo gripped the edge of her command chair. Take us closer to the main Krell fleet. I want detailed scans of their ships. The Phoenix moved carefully through the debris field of destroyed human vessels. Below them, Krell ground forces moved through ruined cities, their tall, armored bodies visible even from orbit. Wait. Taeyeon suddenly sat up straight, staring at her screen. Captain, something strange is happening with the ship's hull. Explain, ordered Sunwoo. The quantum lattice material is reacting. Taeyeon worked quickly, bringing up more data. It's absorbing energy from the Krell weapons being used on the surface. The energy signatures are being stored in the hull matrix. Engineer Hyunki moved to look over Taeyeon's shoulder. That's not in the specifications I was given. How much energy? Sunwoo asked. Significant amounts, Taeyeon replied. And increasing steadily as we. A loud alarm cut through the air. Red lights flashed across the bridge. Krell patrol vessel, Lieutenant Ju shouted. They've spotted us. Impossible, Hyunki said. The shadow drive. They must have upgraded their sensors, Sunwoo cut in. Evasive maneuvers. The Phoenix jumped forward, but the Krell ship was fast. It was larger than their vessel, shaped like a pointed spear with glowing engines. They're charging weapons, Yeonji called out. Shields to maximum, Sunwoo ordered. Prepare for impact. The Krell ship fired. A bright beam of energy cut across space and struck the Phoenix directly. The ship shook, and for a moment the lights flickered. But then, nothing. Damage report, Sunwoo asked, surprised they were still alive. Hyunki checked his systems, eyes wide. Minimal impact. The hull, it absorbed the energy. 97% of the blast was captured by the quantum lattice, Taeyeon confirmed, sounding astonished. The energy is now stored in our hull matrix. Sunwoo remembered the data chip Admiral Doyeon had given her. The systems I don't know about yet, she murmured. A second alarm sounded. 2 more Krell ships appeared, moving to surround the Phoenix. We can't outrun 3 of them, Ju said. Hyunki turned to the captain, his face bright with sudden understanding. Captain, if the hull can store that energy, I believe it can also release it. The connections to our weapon systems are there, just not activated. Are you sure? Sunwoo asked. Not completely, he admitted, but the design makes sense now. We're not just a reconnaissance vessel, we're an energy sponge. The Krell ships closed in, all 3 preparing to fire. In seconds, they would be destroyed or captured, which might be worse. Captain Sunwoo made her decision. Insert the command chip, Mr. Hyunki. Let's test your theory. Hyunki took the chip from Sunwoo and placed it into his console. New screens lit up, showing systems the crew had never seen before. Energy redirection protocols online, he announced. We can channel the absorbed power through our forward array. Target the nearest Krell vessel, Sunwoo ordered as the enemy ships prepared to fire again. The 3 Krell ships fired simultaneously. Their energy beams struck the Phoenix from different angles. The ship shuddered, and the lights dimmed momentarily. But the hull glowed with a strange blue light, absorbing the attacks. Energy storage at maximum capacity, Taeyeon reported. Now, Mr. Hyunki, Sunwoo commanded. Hyunki pressed the activation sequence. For a second, nothing happened. Then the Phoenix surged with power. The blue glow intensified, and a beam of concentrated energy erupted from the front of the ship. It struck the nearest Krell vessel. There was no explosion, no fire. The ship simply came apart, its molecules separating as the energy tore through its structure. The bridge crew stared in shock. Did we just? Ju began. Yes, Sunwoo said quietly. Target the second ship. The Phoenix turned, faster than should have been possible. The second Krell vessel tried to retreat, but too late. Another energy beam lashed out, and the enemy ship dissolved like the first. The third Krell ship turned to flee. Should we pursue? Ju asked. Sunwoo shook her head. No, let it go. But it will warn the others, Yeonji protested. Good, said Sunwoo. Let them know what's coming. The crew looked at her with new understanding. This was why the Phoenix had been built. Not just for reconnaissance, not just for defense. Earth Command knew what they were building all along. Sunwoo said, looking at the destroyed Krell ships. They created a weapon that turns our enemy's strength against them. The more power they use against us, the stronger we become. What do we do now, Captain? Asked Taeyeon. Sunwoo looked at the burning planet below, thinking of the millions lost. Her hands tightened on the arms of her chair. Now, she said, we find their main fleet. The Phoenix moved silently through empty space. The crew had been working without rest for 36 hours, analyzing the data they had collected from Artemis. Now they had a target. The Krell command fleet has gathered in the Helios system, Captain Sunwoo said, pointing to the star map on the main screen. They're preparing for their next attack. The red dots on the map showed hundreds of Krell ships. Dreadnoughts, destroyers, and carriers, enough firepower to destroy Earth 10 times over. How many ships? Lieutenant Juwoo asked quietly. Over 300, Science Officer Taeyeon replied, including the Emperor's flagship. The bridge fell silent. They were just one ship against an armada. Captain Sunwoo stood up and looked at each crew member. I have a plan, but I need everyone to understand the risk. She walked to the tactical display and zoomed in on the Helios system. The Krell fleet is here, between the 4th and 5th planets. But there's a radiation belt from a recent solar flare that runs through this area. The radiation would hide our approach, Engineer Hyunki said, seeing where she was going. Exactly. Sunwoo nodded. We'll use the shadow drive to get close, then the radiation belt to mask our final approach. And then what? Communications specialist Yoonji asked. We can't fight hundreds of ships. We don't fight them, Captain Sunwoo said. We let them fight us. What? Juwoo looked confused. We'll allow ourselves to be detected and surrounded, she explained calmly, as if discussing a simple training exercise. Surrounded. Lieutenant Juwoo stood up in shock. Captain, that's suicide. No, Engineer Hyunki interrupted, his eyes bright with sudden understanding. It's brilliant. The more ships firing at us, the more power we absorb. Our hull can store massive amounts of energy. And the more energy we store, Taeyeon added, the more powerful our counterattack. Captain Sunwoo nodded. The Phoenix was built for exactly this scenario. We're not just a ship. We're a trap. The crew was quiet, taking in the plan. It was bold, perhaps crazy, but it might work. If we fail, Juwoo said finally, Earth will have lost its only defense. If we do nothing, Sunwoo replied, Earth will fall anyway. The colonies were just the beginning. One by one, the crew nodded their agreement. They had seen what happened to Artemis. They wouldn't let that happen to Earth. 2 days later, the Phoenix approached the Helios system. The massive radiation belt shimmered ahead of them, a curtain of energy perfect for hiding their small ship. Shadow drive disengage, Lieutenant Juwoo reported, entering radiation belt now. The ship shuddered slightly as they passed into the swirling energy. Outside, space itself seemed to bend and warp with radiation. Hull is absorbing ambient radiation, Taeyeon reported. Energy reserves increasing. Good, Sunwoo said. Every little bit helps. They moved slowly through the belt, their sensors barely working through the interference. When they emerged on the other side, they got their first look at the Krell command fleet. The view was terrifying. Hundreds of Krell warships filled the screen, massive vessels with strange, angular designs that seemed made entirely of weapons. At the center of the fleet was the largest ship any of them had ever seen, the Emperor's flagship. That thing is the size of a small moon, Yoonji whispered. And just as deadly, Hyunki added. Captain Sunwoo stood from her chair. Disengage all stealth systems. Let them see us. Juwoo looked at her with wide eyes. Captain. Do it, Lieutenant. It's time to spring our trap. With reluctance, Juwoo pressed the commands. The Phoenix's systems shifted, making them visible to Krell sensors. It took only seconds. Alarms blared as Krell ships began to move. "They'd spotted us," Taeyeon reported. "Multiple vessels changing course. Hold position." Sunwoo ordered calmly. "Let them come to us." The minutes that followed were tense. The crew watched as the Krell fleet rearranged itself, dozens of ships moving to surround the Phoenix. Soon, they were completely encircled, with no possible escape route. "They've stopped firing," Juwoo noted with surprise. "Why aren't they attacking?" "They're curious," Sunwoo said. "One small Earth ship coming right to them. They want to know why." A signal chimed on Yoonji's console. "Captain, we're receiving a transmission from the Emperor's flagship." On screen, Sunwoo ordered. The main viewer flickered, and then showed a figure that made the crew gasp. The Krell Emperor was larger than normal Krell, with gold-colored scales and 4 sets of eyes arranged around his elongated head. He wore armor that seemed to be made of living metal, shifting and moving as he breathed. "Primitive humans," the translator conveyed his clicking speech. "Your prototype vessel is impressive to have come this far. Surrender now, and your crew will be treated with dignity as research subjects." Captain Sunwoo stood tall, facing the screen without fear. "You attacked our colonies without warning. You killed millions of our people, and you think we came here to surrender?" The Emperor made a sound that might have been laughter. "One small ship against my entire fleet. You have no choice." "There's always a choice," Sunwoo replied. She turned slightly. "Engineer Hyunki, activate the solar forge." Hyunki's fingers flew over his console, inputting a complex sequence of commands. "Solar forge activating, Captain." The Phoenix began to change. Panels opened along its hull, revealing systems that had been hidden since its construction. The quantum lattice began to glow with stored energy from the radiation belt and the constant scanning beams from the Krell ships. "What are you doing?" the Emperor demanded, a note of uncertainty in his translated voice. Captain Sunwoo smiled. "Showing you what human primitive technology can really do." The Phoenix suddenly pulsed with blinding light. Energy crackled across its surface, building to impossible levels. The ship's computers came alive with new options, targeting systems that hadn't existed minutes before. "Energy redistribution at maximum," Taeyeon reported in awe. "The hull is at 300% capacity and still stable." Before the Emperor could respond, Sunwoo gave her order. "Target the nearest dreadnought. Fire." From the small Earth vessel came a beam of energy so concentrated it appeared solid. It struck the nearest Krell warship directly in its center. The massive vessel didn't explode. It simply came apart, its structure unraveling from the inside out. The Krell fleet reacted instantly, all ships opening fire on the Phoenix. But each blast only fed the hungry quantum lattice hull, storing more energy for the next attack. "Second target," Sunwoo commanded. "Fire." Another beam lashed out. Another Krell ship disintegrated. And another. And another. On the screen, the Emperor's face showed something humans had never seen on a Krell before. Fear. The Phoenix moved like a dancer through the Krell fleet. Every ship that fired at it only made it stronger. The quantum lattice hull absorbed each energy blast, growing brighter with each attack. When the Phoenix fired back, entire Krell warships simply fell apart. Captain Sunwoo stood calmly on the bridge, giving orders in a steady voice. "Target the heavy cruiser at coordinates 227 Mark IV. "Targeting." Lieutenant Juwoo confirmed. His hands were steady now, no longer shaking as they had been when the battle began. The Phoenix turned smoothly and released another energy beam. The Krell cruiser, a ship 5 times their size, broke into pieces that scattered across space. 19 major warships destroyed, Science Officer Taeyeon reported. The rest are trying to regroup. On the main screen, they could see the Krell fleet in chaos. Ships collided as they tried to escape. Some fired wildly, missing the Phoenix completely. Others simply drifted, their crews perhaps too shocked to respond. The Emperor's flagship is changing position, Engineer Hunky noted. I think they're preparing to run. Not yet, Captain Sunwoo said firmly. They need to learn this lesson completely. She turned to Communications Specialist Yoonji. Target their engine section only. Disable, don't destroy. The Phoenix moved with impossible speed, appearing directly behind the massive flagship. It fired a precise beam that cut through the engine housing, leaving the giant ship dead in space. Open a channel to the Emperor, Sunwoo ordered. The Emperor's face appeared on screen again, but now his royal composure was gone. His scales had turned a pale yellow, the Krell equivalent of going white with fear. You had 3 chances, Sunwoo said calmly. When you mocked us at the Galactic Conference, when you attacked our colonies without warning, and when you surrounded us today. 3 chances to realize that appearances can be deceiving. The Emperor made an angry sound. You tricked us. No, Sunwoo shook her head. We showed you exactly what we had. You chose not to look beyond the surface. That was your mistake. She turned away from the screen. Broadcast on all Galactic Alliance frequencies, she ordered Yoonji. All frequencies open, Captain, Yoonji replied, her fingers dancing across her console. Captain Sunwoo stood tall, knowing her words would reach every world in the Alliance. This is Captain Sunwoo of the Earth vessel Phoenix. We have engaged and defeated the Krell Imperial fleet in the Helios system. Their attacks on Earth colonies were unprovoked acts of war against a peaceful species seeking only to join the galactic community. She paused, letting her words sink in. We are transmitting visual evidence of this battle. Note that our single primitive vessel was able to defeat the entire Krell armada, the same armada that has threatened many of your worlds for centuries. Yoonji sent the battle recordings, showing the Phoenix's incredible performance against overwhelming odds. Across the galaxy, Alliance representatives who had laughed at Earth's technology now watched in stunned silence. Earth requests emergency consideration of our petition to join the Alliance, Sunwoo continued, and immediate aid for our attacked colonies. We await your response. She nodded to Yoonji, who closed the transmission. What now, Captain? Asked Lieutenant Juwoo. Now we wait, she replied. They didn't wait long. Within an hour, the Alliance Council announced an emergency session. Within 3 hours, they had reached a decision. Earth's admission was approved unanimously. Alliance peacekeeping ships were dispatched to the human colonies, along with medical and rescue teams. They're scared of us now, Taeyin said quietly as they monitored the messages flooding in. Good, Engineer Hunky replied. Fear is sometimes the beginning of respect. The Phoenix remained in the Helios system for 2 more days, watching as Alliance ships arrived to take custody of the Krell Emperor and his surviving commanders. Formal apologies arrived from many worlds that had dismissed human warnings. Some even offered technology sharing, military assistance, and trade agreements. When they finally set course for home, the crew was exhausted but proud. They had changed humanity's place in the galaxy forever. Do you think Earth Command knew this would happen? Lieutenant Juwoo asked Captain Sunwoo as they watched Earth grow larger on their view screen. Did they plan for us to fight the entire Krell fleet? Not exactly, she replied. But they gave us a ship that could do the impossible if necessary. They gave us a chance. As the Phoenix approached Earth orbit, they were met by an honor guard of every spaceship Earth could put into the sky. Military vessels, civilian transports, even private ships, all formed a pathway home. We're receiving thousands of messages, Yoonji reported, smiling through tears, from everywhere on Earth and the surviving colonies. The Phoenix docked at Earth Command Station. When the airlock opened, the crew found Admiral Doyeon waiting with tears in his eyes. You did it, he said simply, embracing Captain Sunwoo. You saved us all. Beyond him stood a crowd of officers, officials, and reporters. Camera drones hovered everywhere, broadcasting the moment worldwide. The crew stepped out together, blinking in the bright lights. They had left as soldiers on a desperate mission. They returned as legends. 2 weeks later, Captain Sunwoo stood before the newly formed Earth Alliance Council. Representatives from 50 alien species watched as she received the highest honors both Earth and the Alliance could give. "The Battle of Helios," said the Alliance president, "will be remembered as the day everything changed. 1 ship, 5 brave humans, and the end of Krell dominance forever." That night, in the quiet of her new office at Earth Command, Captain Sunwoo read the entry that had been added to the Galactic Archives. The Battle of Helios marked the end of Krell expansion and the beginning of human influence in galactic affairs. Never again would any species underestimate these resourceful beings from a world that had forged them through countless challenges into something uniquely formidable. She smiled, thinking of the Phoenix, now being studied so engineers could build more ships with its remarkable technology. And she thought of her crew, who had followed her into what seemed like certain death. Sometimes, she thought, being underestimated is the greatest advantage of all. The end.